Yay Networks.
Welcome back to In the Cards and Stars. I'm your host, Britt Madrid Mogensen, and today we're going to talk about Gemini season. Geminis, the most two-faced of the zodiac. No, I'm just kidding. We love Geminis, but just like every zodiac sign, there is a little devil and a little angel on the shoulder, right? And what's interesting about Geminis, because they are the twins, they really can be the most two-faced. So we're not singling you out. We're not picking on you. We love Geminis. There are so many good things that we're going to be able to do with this season that I'm going to tell you about. But there are some major pitfalls that we also want to be aware of. This is a sign of extremes. This is a season of extremes, and we want to have a great summer, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into some cosmic calendar dates. So be ready to take note of two really important events happening in June that you guys are going to want to manifest with. You're going to want to use this energy. And then we're going to get into some style secrets so that you guys can dress in alignment with the zodiac sign season. This is also a really fun time to kind of like just get outside the box with the way we dress, what we're doing. So we're going to talk about all of that and more in this episode. Okay, let's get down to it. Geminis, associated with the third house, first of all. The third house is about communication, social media, finding information, communicating that information. And the thing about Geminis is that they don't really go too deep with it. They have, the zodiac sign has like a short attention span, okay? So it's very much in line with our current culture. There's also like pop culture falls under Gemini. So let's talk about a few notable Geminis that I know you guys have heard of so that you can start to kind of get the vibe. First person that really came to mind for Gemini energy, especially because the new Kardashian season just started, is Scott Disick. We all know he's a Gemini, and we can all think back to when he had this situation going on in his life when he was with Courtney, and he would be like so sweet, so fun. A lot of people really liked him, and including me. I thought he was super sweet and fun, but then it was like this Jekyll and Hyde, that two-faced thing that we're talking about. He would go out, party, get blasted, like do the most horrible things, cheat. Like it was like honestly looking at two different people, right? And so that's kind of the thing that we have to be careful about with Gemini energy is that we find some way to balance that side of us that wants to be a little bit wild and the side of us that just wants to have fun and joke around, right? So Scott is a good example of someone who was definitely learning to like harness that energy. I don't know if he's harnessed it yet. Hopefully he has, but that's just a good example. Okay, so we also have other Geminis that are very iconic. Marilyn Monroe, born on June 1st, such a Gemini. They have like very sprightly energy. I like to think of a little fairy, like flitting around, spreading information, having fun, life of the party vibes. You may not think of Marilyn Monroe like that because she comes across as very sensual and seductive. But one fun fact about her is that, after she passed, they found all of these poems and these like very deep writings and things that she like journaled about her life and her experiences. And if you ever look into that, you will see her from a totally different angle and you'll understand why she definitely embodies the Gemini sun energy that is just it's like living in two different spaces at once. So she's really interesting. Also, if we look at how she dressed, she would wear in like her daily life like sweaters and things that were very like cozy, almost like dressed kind of like a Cancer sun sign. Just a lot of neutrals, cozy sweaters, like cute little pants, things like that. She came across as very just kind of down to earth. Her name that she was born with was Norma Jean, right? So it's just like kind of down home, girl next door vibes. And then she created this vixen vampy side, the other side of herself that she channeled. Her Gemini sun made that easy for her to do. And we see that vixen part of her in the iconic white dress where her dress blew up and it was like very scandalous in the 50s at that time. When she sang for President Kennedy, she did not wear her demure little outfit. She wore that sparkly dress that we saw Kim Kardashian wear to the Met in 2022. So she was a woman of many sides. And that's the thing that's fascinating about Gemini energy. And we're encouraged to find our many sides and to kind of like embrace them within reason. We'll talk about the do's and don'ts, but to embrace them during this season, to not judge ourselves for all of the ways that we may conflict or for all of the things inside of ourselves that we don't yet understand. We're allowed to play a little more and have more fun, be lighthearted. Okay, so that's kind of like the general vibe of Gemini energy. Main things you need to know: communication, duality, exploring different sides of yourself. We'll get to the do's and don'ts after we talk about the two major cosmic happenings in June when we get back. So, things that we like to do at the beginning of every single zodiac sign season around here is we got to find it in our birth charts. We have to see where the sun is illuminating the area of our life right now during the sun sign season, because wherever that's happening for you, that's where you have the most impact to create really anything that you want. You can manifest something different, you can tweak that area of your life. The sun is shining there, so it's illuminated. So, pull up your birth chart. Again, as always, astrocharts.com, free birth chart. Love that. Put it on whole sign houses and scroll down to where your placements are as far as like the house. Which house is ruled by Gemini in your birth chart? That's what you really want to know for this. And then you also want to take a look at Sagittarius, because we're going to talk about some things happening in Sagittarius. So find those areas. I'll use myself as an example. For Sagittarius, that rules my 11th house of wishes, hopes, and then like the collective. So like social media or people that like I haven't really met yet. It's more of just kind of like your networks that are very broad. Could be people you sort of know, acquaintances, but it's very much social media. I want to put this on our calendars. The full moon in Sagittarius happening on June 3rd. So find that area. Like I said, for me, I know that there's going to be some big full moon energy happening in my 11th house. So that's going to be like groups, clubs, whatever. Like I said, social media. So for you, see what that is and then listen to this. All right. So this area of your life is being highlighted during the June 3rd full moon because there is something that you need to infuse with Sagittarian energy around this part of your life. So that means you're being called on to infuse more buoyancy. Think like Gemini, I mean, sorry, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So this is like luck, gifts. In this area of your life, do you feel like you're not believing in what's possible? Are you not being optimistic enough? And this area of your life, because it's a full moons can be a little bit draining emotionally. I always kind of look at a full moon and I'm like, oh Lord, all right, buckle up. What's going to happen? And sometimes it can be like really good and it can be surprising because full moons are also culminations. That means that something really good could happen that you've been working towards. Like this is a time when you could get a payoff, but it's also a time that's very emotional. And so it could reveal something that you might want to change, or it could be a signal to you, like something could happen, information could come out. Sagittarius also rules truth. So you just want to kind of pay attention, special attention to that area of your life and realize that whatever's happening there, whatever comes through for you, whether it seems good on the surface or bad on the surface, it's to teach you something so that you can learn to open up and let go a little bit more. Sagittarius wants to bring you gifts, but if we don't allow ourselves to be open to receiving those gifts, if we're thinking too small, we will get a signal that tells us and confirms that for us around this June 3rd full moon. I hope that makes sense. So, because, like I said, it can be a little bit emotional, I'm going to pull a Britney Spears Oracle card because I feel like if we have a little Oracle card energy, we can use this. I always like to pull a card to be like, okay, what energy do I need to get through this or to deal with this situation? Just for fun, but it always helps me. So let's pull one just in case, because you just never know. You never know what's going to come up. And Britney Spears is the ultimate Sagittarius sun. So I'm pretty sure her Oracle deck will tell us what we need to know. All right. What do we collectively, as the In the Cards and Stars listeners, need to embody to deal with what comes through for us at the full moon in Sagittarius? June 3rd. Ooh, hello. The flight attendant. Okay. Very cute. I love this one. She's looking precious. Let's see what the book says about that. Okay. Coffee, tea, or Britney? Britney loves playing a character, and the flight attendant of Toxic fame is one of the most iconic music video looks. In her blue miniskirt uniform and jaunty hat, Britney nods to the swinging stewardesses of the 60s and the futuristic vibes of the mid 2000s. But underneath her uniform, she's not that innocent. Ooh, flight attendant Britney is actually a secret agent in disguise, and she's on a mission. Toxic teaches us that things aren't always what they seem, and life is full of surprises. So be prepared for what's to come and always stay ahead of the pack. Beverage card optional. Okay, well, you know what? If that's not confirmation, something's going to come up for us. Nothing else will be. So what I got from that is wear a cute outfit and just be ready for anything. You've got this. You know you do. Okay, so that's what's coming up around the 3rd. So put that on your calendar, big old circle there. And then 2 weeks later, we have a new moon in Gemini during Gemini season, which is always so fun, on June 17th. So whatever you found out and decided, okay, I need to deal with this or whatever, then 2 weeks later, when you have this Gemini new moon, Gemini is opposite Sagittarius. So we're going to be able to balance our lives at this point. So find that Gemini ruled house in your chart. For me, it's my 5th house of like love, romance, and like joy. You're just going to have to think about, what do I want to manifest in that house? And you will see that it is going to link in some bizarre way to what happened with the full moon. So for me, I'm going to be manifesting following my heart more and just having more fun in my day-to-day life, which we're even doing here on the podcast. We've already gotten a head start because we're turning in the cards and stars into a little happy hour. I got my wine here. We used to do it in the morning, but now we're doing it as like a fun wind down. So we just kind of think of, where in my life can I have more fun? And that is what you get to manifest. You're going to be blessed at that new moon. And then if you want to look at where that falls for you in your particular chart, that'll help you to find more ways that you can support that new moon. So let's say it's in your 4th house. You could say, okay, how can I bring more fun, joyful, lighthearted Gemini vibes into my 4th house? Well, maybe for you with the new moon, you want to get a few new things to like spice it up. Maybe you want to paint a room. So you'll know intuitively, but this is a great time to manifest, manifest, manifest. So here is how you can avoid getting canceled during Gemini season, because like I said, Gemini season rules communication, and we are all going to be impacted and wanting to communicate more, be more open. So here are some do's and don'ts that we all have to keep in mind. All right. So let's start with the do's. We'll start on a positive note, and then we'll end, a little bit salacious. All right. So do explore new hobbies and go on short trips. So because Gemini rules the 3rd house has to do with short trips and siblings. So you may want to go on a family trip. Like, even if it's just like driving over to the next town. We did that over the weekend. It was so much fun. And I definitely know that like Gemini season boosted that energy. Communication. This is a time to communicate more. And if you are someone who tends to like hold back a little bit, let's say you have a lot of Cancer in your chart, or a lot of Pisces in your chart, or even Libra, like maybe you're just a little bit more reserved when it comes to speaking your truth. Just know that this is definitely a do during Gemini season to come out of your shell and speak your truth more. See what happens. You may want to keep it up. Spend time crafting your message. Okay, so if you are like someone who has a business, or you just like posting on social media, or you want to write more, this is a time when you can actually refine the way that you communicate, what you say, how you say it. So if this is something that you've been kind of putting off, like I said, like let's say you're a budding writer, this would be a time to sit down, force yourself to sit in that seat and write, or force yourself to sit and work on that website. Anything communication related that you might want to launch or get into, that will be very blessed with the sun in Gemini. Okay, invite a twin to explore and have adventures with you. Gemini rules the twins. So, like, for example, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, they are literally the Gemini twins born during Gemini season. And they dress like, they do everything together, even as adults. They have the row, which has been very successful. So we can see how the two of them leaning into, the twinsy vibe has worked for them throughout their whole life. So for you, maybe during Gemini season, you want to get a little bit closer to your favorite plus one. So make the time to like go to dinner with your favorite person. It can be just a friend or even a family member, but spend more time in a dynamic duo and kind of see what happens. It'll be a chance for you guys to get a lot closer. Let's see, what else do we have here? Try out your Gemini season style. We're going to get to that next. And focus on the Gemini ruled house in your chart. I just want to reiterate this one more time, because when the sun shines in a certain house in your chart, which happens every zodiac season, the sun just moves around and it goes to the next house for you. If you focus on that house during this time period, then you'll find that you can just keep like up leveling and improving different areas of your life as you go. So by the time you get to the end of the 12-month cycle and you start back at Aries, you'll just keep ascending. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just keep improving and getting to know each house a little bit better. So focus on that area of your chart for this time period from May 21st to June 21st and see what happens. I'm going to embrace focusing on my fifth house. I mean, I'll embrace the fun. Why not? Okay. And then work with the energies of the Gemini new moon to manifest, manifest, manifest. Don't forget that. Okay. So the don'ts now. All right. So basically, don't do anything that you are going to regret when Cancer season rolls around next, because that's kind of like your cheat code to Gemini season, because Cancer rules the heart. Gemini is all about the mind. So you don't want to be like acting too wild during Gemini season. And then you get to Cancer season and like you can have a big crash. Okay. So here are the don'ts though. Don't gossip or get caught gossiping. And we're just instead just listen to In the Cards and Stars or go to my tarot tea times, because like channel that urge to gossip in a different way, in more harmless ways, because Gemini does rule gossip and pop culture. And if you accidentally, maybe you're a little frustrated one day and you tell one of your coworkers the way you feel about your boss, and then the gossip vibe is all around, and they're in a little gossipy mood and they tell somebody else. And then before you know it, it got back to your boss and you're screwed. So I'm just going to put out that warning. Watch the gossiping during Gemini season, channel it a different way. Okay, don't get sloppy. So Gemini is all about exploration and experimentation. And I think that we've seen from even just like the couple Geminis that I listed, um, that they have a tendency to get a little sloppy in life. You can be having fun. There's like a fine line between having fun, letting it all hang out, being yourself, like not judging yourself, and then crossing the line into getting sloppy and doing things that you regret or that aren't like reflecting your highest self. So watch the drinking, watch posting on social media, just like unbridled. You may accidentally like, I don't know, put your phone away when you're drinking. Just a good, kind of a good note on life anyway, but don't say like, don't get too wild with the communication. I'll just say that. And then don't do anything where you're like acting out too much out of your character. Make sure that you keep your priorities front and center while you're having fun, because Gemini does rule experience as well, like variety experience. The Gemini energy isn't, like I said, it's just not too deep. It's like Geminis want to experience everything there is to experience in life, which is cool. But if you have priorities, like let's say you're in a committed relationship and then you make out with somebody like at a pool party, you're going to regret that, right? So you got to make sure that you kind of keep your head on straight while you're having this fun exploratory, summer experience. And then what else do we have? All right, and also don't forget to chill and rest. So Geminis are go, go, go. They move so quickly. They are ruled by ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is just nonstop communication. So don't be afraid to, put the phone down a second, even if you're just tweeting up a storm, even if you are on like a posting streak and your like TikToks are going viral because it's Gemini season. Still, don't be afraid to put it down and walk away every once in a while, because you can get burned out during Gemini season, and that would just be no fun. And then let's see. Don't lose your identity twinning too hard, and don't ignore any red flags, because like I said before with the gossiping, the two-faced types tend to feel a little freer during Gemini season, okay? And so if somebody shows you their true colors during Gemini season, just believe them. Believe them, believe them, believe them, because people will be showing their wild sides a little bit more during this time period. So, don't be afraid to be on the lookout, and then just take note. Take a little note of it. And then don't lose your identity twinning too hard. Sometimes the Gemini twins have to remember that they are still their own person, their own separate identity. So have fun, like I said, but stay true to your values, stay true to your core, and then you won't have a problem. And then also don't forget, last but not least, don't forget to follow through on your biggest priorities, because Gemini rules variety. Gemini just collects things, people, information, clothing, it's just all about like, let me try this, let me try that. It's non-committal, which is cool and which is fun, but be sure that you continue to follow through on what's important to you, because there's going to be a really big temptation during Gemini season not to, and then you'll be on like the cleanup crew during Cancer season. And again, we just don't want that season to be difficult. Let's talk about fashion. Last but not least of this episode, we have got to talk about how we can channel a different side of ourselves during Gemini season. Gemini fashion is one of the most fun things that you can just channel at any time of the year, but especially during Gemini season, because you're probably going to be more in the mood, like I said, to be more experimental. And Gemini is all about trying the latest trends, not really caring what other people think, because Gemini just says and does whatever feels inspiring in that moment. Gemini really lives in the moment. So if there is something you've been wanting to try out, something that you've seen, something you've been kind of like, I don't know if I could pull that off, the answer is yes, you can, and especially during Gemini season. So try it and just do it, right? Just do it. Just have fun with it. So Gemini style is very much about, like I said, trying these different things, but it's also about wearing like some of the lucky colors. Because if you wear the lucky colors of Gemini during the season, you're going to find that you just attract luck. It's like you're on the right energetic wavelength. So you want to wear yellow, any shade of yellow from like light to like super bright neon, which we've seen a lot of like on the runways, and then emerald, which is Gemini's birthstone. And so just like a really deep, beautiful green or yellow, like those are going to just kind of, well, first of all, make you stand out in a room, which is going to bring people to you to get that communication flowing. But also, you're going to feel more bold when you wear more bold colors. So, love that. I think we should all be trying that. And then just anything colorful, trendy, fun. Those are kind of the keywords for the style. Also, in my notes I wrote, get you a vibe that can do both mermaid core one day and Sophia Richie style the next. And that is so Gemini. Don't be afraid to be completely different. Like one day you can dress like how, Marilyn Monroe would dress in these like very cozy outfits during the day, but then bam, she'd be wearing like the white dress blowing up, looking amazing. So don't be afraid to just try different things. See what is fun for you in that moment. And don't be afraid to like shock people, surprise people, do something a little bit different. So I love like the fantasy element of the mermaid core trend that we see. I also saw The Little Mermaid recently. It was so good. Highly recommend. But yeah, wear like the fun, sparkly outfits, wear the accessories, and then also don't be afraid to dress it down and do a little Sophia Richie, what are they calling it these days? I forgot, like the rich girl era or something, or old money style. Yeah, don't be afraid to pull that out when you feel like it too. Okay, so a few notable Gemini fashion icons that we can definitely look to if we need a little bit of inspo are, okay, well, first and foremost, the queen of the Geminis when it comes to the fashion world is Miuccia Prada. So she is the founder of Prada, which is her more conservative, I'd say, old money style look. And then Miu Miu, which is like the cutest brand, which has like these fun looks that are like almost little kiddish. It's kind of like it's like kitschy and fun and cute. Really like love both brands, but they're totally different. So if you look at like if you compare and contrast both of those, you can see that that is such a Gemini thing to do. And she actually created both brands so that she could express and explore different sides of her personality and of her style. So I thought that was like a fun Gemini fashion fact. And then we talked about Marilyn Monroe already. Angelina Jolie is another Gemini who, if you not only in her style, but in her personality, if you look at her style, she will be very like vixenish, right? Especially during like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith era, she was doing a lot of leather. She was wearing outfits that were like super sexy, kind of like that bombshell Marilyn Monroe energy, but a little bit darker. And then if you see her when she's like doing speeches for World Hunger and for like children, that other side of her, she is wearing very tailored outfits. It's that old money style. So she's a good one to look at to kind of get inspo for how to like, play up different sides of your personality during this season. Another one who, I mean, this is personality, also her fashion, 100%. Naomi Campbell is a Gemini. And on one hand, we have her just being the most stunning 90s supermodel, just looking amazing constantly. And then on the other hand, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we have the super scary throwing her cell phone at people, like just terrifying, right? Like I would be so scared to be in the same room with her, to be honest. And so we see both sides there with her. And so she can dress very chic and very understated. And then she can just go all out and be in the most sparkly, like sexy outfits and just really like be a showstopper. She also, fun fact, used to like to dress and twin with Kate Moss, who's a Capricorn, but we definitely see Naomi Campbell like doing that inner Gemini twin thing with her because I think it had to have been her idea. But if you look back through photos, you can Google like Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss twinning, and they would like dress alike to parties. And so I just thought that was funny. So if you have a friend and let's say you want to coordinate outfits like a party coming up, why not? Try it. Could be fun. And then last but not least, the Olsen twins. They're so funny because like I grew up during the Olsen twin era, like when I was in college. Oh my God. Like everybody, we saw they were like so cool. Why? I have no idea. Because if I look back, I'm like, good Lord, they looked a little, a little disheveled. But some notable Gemini things about them, they always had a huge bag, probably to carry all of their Gemini interests. Like, so don't be afraid to carry a big bag this season if you need your journal, your ID, a couple other things, your tarot cards. Like, just don't be afraid to go for the big bags. Some totes are in. So they would always do a big bag. And then they would always like wear something that was kind of like oversized because I feel like they were always on the go and they were a little bit less focused on style and more focused on doing things. They also were usually balancing like a phone, a cigarette, this or that. I don't know. I'm not saying dress like them unless you want to wear the row, which is very chic. But I just think they're a funny example of Geminis being Geminis. They were just always balancing stuff. Look up any like old, early 2000s photo of the Olsens and you'll see what I mean. But that's that, you guys. So this is going to be a fun season. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Channel that energy, like I said, into less gossip, less of the dark side, and try to channel it into more of that area of your chart that's highlighted right now by the sun, wherever the Gemini rules in your chart. And then also just exploring more, getting out of your own way, getting out of your box. See if you can like explore a different side of yourself. All right, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. This was fun. I hope you had a good time learning about Gemini season and you're ready to just kind of get out there and embrace it. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday with another all new episode.